welcome to this special broadcast. You're tuning into the India Revival Mission, an initiative by the Times Network. I'm Nayantara Rai, working from home. Our guest today on India Revival Mission is the Chief Executive Officer of Myntra. We will be chatting with him to find out what kind of a revival we've seen in e-commerce, with a specific focus, of course, on fashion, beauty products, self-grooming, and all of this ahead of the festive season. Amar, a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of the India Revival Mission. My first question is, have you seen a revival? Is Myntra back at the pre-COVID levels? India's continuing its unlocking journey. You still don't have all offices back up and running. Schools and colleges are still not fully open. They are shut. So is India shopping the way it used to stay primarily at home?
Well, thank you for having me on the show, Nayantara. It's always a pleasure. India's fashion shopping has definitely changed from what it used to be pre-COVID. People working from home is actually putting more emphasis on above the waist kind of fashion, which was not the case earlier. In fact, the occasion-led wear and the social meeting kind of wear are very less on sales right now, but more of at leisure wear. So there is a shift that happened in the mix in the business, but in terms of numbers, Myntra definitely bounced back to pre-COVID levels. In fact, it's growing faster. It's the new users on the platform are growing faster than we anticipated this year.
So Amar, if I can ask you, you're saying that, so Amar, I want to ask you that since March 24th, when the Prime Minister announced the lockdown, since then, how many users has Myntra added? You're saying you're going faster than pre-COVID. Does that mean Myntra is also 100%, its business is 100% of what it was pre-COVID, if not more?
In terms of new users coming onto Myntra as a platform, this trend started once the Unlock 1.0 started. And the most of the growth Myntra is seeing is coming from Tier 2, Tier 3, while we continue to be a very dominant player in Metro and Tier 1. What's really happening with Tier 2, Tier 3 is more and more people are now willing to shop fashion online. The apprehensions that used to exist in the past is now kind of put aside because of all the other restrictions in the offline shopping, because of the constraints we live with today as a new normalcy. In terms of the customer growth on Myntra, we have definitely seen like 1 in 2 orders today comes from Tier 2, Tier 3. So now you can imagine the kind of growth we have seen on the platform. In terms of our numbers, we are back to pre-COVID levels in early June itself. From July onwards, with Rakhi, with Raksha Bandhan, with Ganesh Chaturthi, the more and more traffic is coming on board, and premium segment is also something that is bouncing back because of the festive season. All of this put together, we are actually performing much bigger and much more than what we actually anticipated pre-COVID for this year.
So Amar, give us a sense of what's trending since the lockdown. India's continuing its unlock journey as well. What's hot? What's in vogue?
Sure. So since the lockdown started, I'll actually start with the lockdown. Since the lockdown started in the country, fashion was not one of those essentials that was cleared by the government to operate. So we were non-operational for almost 7 to 9 weeks. But after the 9 weeks, we also realized there was a much bigger need for mass, quality mass and genuine mass to be available for our consumers. So we started working with the brands to make them available. And for the first few weeks, safety was the top of the concern for all of us at Myntra, for our employees, for our consumers and partners. That's when we realized the whole supply chain, everything has to be re-engineered to match the new safety guidelines to keep our consumers and our partners safe. And when we started in Unlock 1.0, the kind of selection we put together was in line with the new normalcy that was settling in. As many of us are working from home, a lot of emphasis was on the above-the-waist fashion, which is still continuing in Metro Tier 1. What happened in Tier 2, Tier 3 was there was this spike in demand for ethnic wear. And that's one of the reasons why we were able to we were able to cater to the demand in a much effective way, because we were able to get the ethnic wear supply onto our platform much faster than most of the other players. which also resulted in us gaining a lot of share in tier 2, tier 3. What's consistent across metro, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 is the focus on hygiene, and that's reflected in the self grooming products that's being bought at a very good levels across the geographies. The other category that is seeing demand across the geographies is kids category, and the home decor categories as well. So on a very high level, the total mix changed from what it used to be, which was more like occasion-led, social gathering, dressing kind of stuff, to more athleisure, more work from home kind of essentials, and ethnic wear in the metro tier 2. Sorry, tier 2 and tier 3.
And tier 2, tier 3 is what's really leading Myntra's revival at the moment. From what you're saying, you've not just revived, but you're thriving.
Yes, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 2, tier 3 is definitely giving that thrust for us, for our growth right now, while we continue to be a dominant player in metro tier 1. Metro tier 1 has also bounced back. In fact, in metro tier 1, ever since Raksha Bandhan Ganesh Chaturthi happened, we see a lot of traffic coming in for premium segment as well.
So you're saying, you mentioned premium segment, so that, kind of preempted my next question. We're talking at a time when people have lost jobs, there's uncertainty, salary cuts, businesses have wound up, and fashion is obviously a discretionary spend. So are you seeing also the trend of only buying more essential items, something you were alluding to, and therefore that would come at the cost of the premium brands, luxury brands, and just the more expensive brands?
So this pandemic has proved that fashion is more than a discretionary spend. When we bounced back, we also approached the demand in a very conservative way. In fact, I would say we did not cater to the entire demand that came to our platform. We were kind of unprepared for the kind of spurge we've seen on our platform. So people wanted to buy fashion, wanted to buy more of essentials. In fact, work from home essentials, athleisure wear, innerwear, kids wear, they would just went out of stock in few days of us going live. So that demand bouncing back, that was a latent demand which never went away, which came onto the platform. Now coming to the premium segment, yes, it did take a hit in the beginning, few weeks or a month or so, but when the festive started happening, when Raksha Bandhan and Ganesh Chaturthi happened, people wanted to celebrate the way they used to live before. So yes, the top of the mind is on savings, but they're also giving themselves this positivity back to their lives through this premiumness. And that's what we are seeing. In fact, for the upcoming festive season, we're so excited to bring the best affordable selection for our consumers with a very sharp pricing, but with no compromise on quality. So that's exactly what we're doing together with the brands to meet the demands of the consumer. With we are also concerned about the top of the mind that all of our consumers have today, which is the macroeconomic concerns that are all that we all know at this moment.
So then, given all of this, and as we head into the festive season, are you expecting shoppers to shop more, to shop the way they would in the previous festive seasons? Because I'm going to be a little honest with you. I can buy clothes to go to what? The Teen Patti parties I cannot go for, Diwali parties I can't go for, the melas I can't go for. So are you expecting the festive season to be a good one?
The festive season is going to be definitely a good one for India and for all the businesses. And we believe this is because of like I said, the positivity that they want to bring back to their lives the way it existed before. What can change and what we believe will change in this festive season, it's no longer about those occasion-led wears. It's actually about everything. It's like people want to buy everything that will make them comfortable at home, which is where if you look at our selection that is being put together for this festive season, it's 9 lakh styles spread across all the categories that I mentioned before. Because people are going to buy for kids, people are going to buy innerwear, athleisure wear, they're going to buy open toe footwear, home decor, all the way to beauty, personal care products, which was not the case in the festive season before. So that's how we see this season different. But in terms of volumes, it's going to be bigger than what it was last year.
You're expecting the volumes to be bigger than last year. Is that also because you're just shipping and operational in many more cities?
Significantly once the lockdown started. So we're betting on new users, more and more new users to come onto our platform during this festive season. And the kind of selection, like I said, we are putting together 9 lakh styles was pretty much done in line with the new need state of our consumers. So as a fashion tech player, what we've done in last 6 months is we've understood consumer, the new need state of the consumer, I would say much faster than anybody else, and work with the brands to bring out selections which is going to be in line with the new need state of the consumers and also personalized to the regions they're coming from. For example, the winter is not the same in the southern and the northern parts of the country. We're taking some of these very granular level details and putting together the intelligence on our platform along with this data and taking it to the brands to see if we can do special merchandising units, which we call SMUs, with a lot of brands and bring that to these platforms. In fact, this is an opportunity for a lot of brands to enter new geographies, which they could not because of either lack of understanding of the consumer at that level, or the demand for their existing products was not as much as they would like for them to enter a new geography. So that gap is being bridged right now, and we are happy to play that role in this festive season.
Okay, so as you play that role for the festive season, and you have talked about being aware of the macros, the situation on ground, on working with brands to assess that situation better as well. Let me ask you a question that a lot of shoppers will want to know ahead of the festive season, and give us an idea of the kind of consumption demand we're talking about as well. Can shoppers expect big bang discounts on Myntra this festive season? Are we going to see that? And is that a way to bring back demand also for premium and luxury clothing, for which you have been candid enough to say the needle is yet to move?
What consumers can definitely expect from Myntra this festive season is the kind of selection that they would not see anywhere else. It's a selection that was tailored to our consumers' need states, and is more personalized than ever before. It's also coupled with a very sharp pricing, and we were able to actually arrive at this sharp pricing working with the brands and the way we are bringing these products to the market. In fact, we've become more efficient in last 6 months working with the brand partners in terms of understanding the new need state or the demand and turning the supply in line with the demand, which was usually the missing factor for a very, very long time in the fashion industry. So with that gap being bridged, the pricing would be much sharper. On top of it, the brands would definitely be investing in acquiring the new users through discounting through our platform.
So, but tell me more about the pricing, because this is a time when a lot of consumers are also price conscious, just given everything.
Like I said, it's definitely going to be a very, very sharp pricing compared to previous times. I'll give you an example. Any branded product that existed before, now they're making special merchandising units for certain geographies. What does it mean? It's actually more relevant to a particular geography, and because it's being made on a demand that we can forecast, the other cost associated with making this line would be much cheaper than what it was before. So we're translating all of that goodness back to the consumer's price point, which is the reason why I keep on saying it's going to be very, very sharp pricing. And like I said, on top of it, the brands are eager to acquire new customers in the new geography, so they are going to also discount in line with their brand guardrails on our platform.
Okay. Now, the other thing I want to ask you, Amar, is, so you're talking about sharp pricing and working with brands and having one of the largest selections that you've had for the festive season and volumes you've not seen before. This is also a time, just given everything and things not in your control or my control or in fact any e-commerce platform's control, there are supply constraints, right? At the same time, the Prime Minister is talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, vocal for local. How important is that for Myntra? First of all, were your supply chains disrupted, let's say from China?
Our dependence on China was much lower even before COVID. So it's not because of China our supply got disrupted, but it's because of all the constraints we were living in during lockdown. The supply did get disrupted, and we were no exception. What we've done in Unlock 1.0 is and especially in the first few weeks, like I said, we were not able to serve all the demand coming to the platform. We were very conservative about the demand, but we were proven wrong very happily by the latent demand that just bounced back onto the platform. From that day onwards, we invested into acquiring the right kind of selection and making sure the supply chains are not disrupted. So we started working with the brands, we started working with the manufacturers directly to make sure we have this kind of selection put together for the festive season. So, Myntra, if I can say, like, we are more prepared than ever before, because we learned what it is to not have a proper supply chain in place when the demand comes onto the platform. So we are better prepared this time.
And have you seen a higher demand for the made in India products? Because, I know that you guys have a special section for that. Are you seeing more traffic? Are you seeing more sales?
Well, there's definitely a lot of interest for made in India, especially this demand kind of went up in last 4 to 5 months. We actually put together a lot of selection from the local manufacturers. In fact, it's not just the manufacturers. What we're also doing is we're working with the handlooms across the country, in some cases working with the state governments to get their cooperative societies onto our platform. In fact, the new commercial that we launched with Samantha in the regional languages talks about more of ethnic wear, more of the selection from the local manufacturers and local handlooms. So there is quite a bit of effort that we are putting in to give this exposure to more and more local suppliers, more and more handloom manufacturers, so that they can actually cater to the entire country during this festive season.
So you are definitely seeing more demand for there, and are you also seeing that the Indian labels in that sense are able to wrap up production to meet to your demands? And is this something that your competitors are also going through?
It's actually a very good question, Antara. Now the constraint is going to be on how much our manufacturing industry can step up to the new scale. What we have done during lockdown is we've supported our manufacturers when the going got tougher for all of us, which is the reason why our suppliers actually are working with us in a much more better, stronger relationship than we ever had with them, and that's the reason why our supply is today undisrupted. When it comes to the brands, also they're also moving a lot of their manufacturing back to the India. We are also working with the brands to see how we can get all of this supply built, procured in an effective manner, so that we are ready for the festive season. Like I said, we are better prepared than ever before for the kind of festive season we are anticipating.
Okay. Now, what I also found fascinating at the start of the interview was that you were talking to me about home decor and self-grooming and personal care. These are not core listings that we used to see on Myntra, especially home decor. Is that how you pivoted during the lockdown?
Well, the pivot kind of happened just before the lockdown also. We started looking at the adjacent categories that to what we operate, what we used to operate before COVID. The overall the thought process was we can bring fashion not just to what we wear, but to everything that we live with on a day-to-day basis, which is where the home decor came in. In fact, that's the reason why when the Unlock 1.0 started, when the demand came, we were able to serve it, because that was the strategy we were anyway decided before COVID. What's really happening in last 4 to 5 months is people finally got time to do their homes, to make it a much more peaceful, beautiful, in line with their taste, which they could not do before. And that's where it's also keeping a lot of brands busy. In fact, there is a lot of pivoting happening for brands more than us, because they started seeing a new opportunity coming in. This is what I was talking about, us sharing our insight with the brands, so brands can cater to the demand in a much more relevant way.
And you've talked about open footwear a couple of times. That I'm guessing is turning out to be a big selling point for Myntra.
It is definitely going off the shelves, I must say. In fact, we launched close to 20 brands in last 6 months, out of which 4 of them bring very strong portfolio in open footwear, and all those brands have been very busy in last 4 to 5 months. That's definitely a trend happening in the country right now.
So when you're talking about higher volumes, you're hoping for manufacturing capacity to keep up with the kind of demand that you're also seeing on Myntra. Will you allow me to ask this one question? Are you getting support, the kind you need, from your parent company Flipkart, which has just received a new infusion from Walmart?
Yes. So in fact, what we also did 6-7 months ago was we started looking at how we can leverage the Flipkart assets and Flipkart investments across. I mean, in their business. One of the reasons why we were able to scale up our tier 2, tier 3 share is because of one of such moves we did with Flipkart Logistics. In fact, Myntra Logistics and Flipkart Logistics came together to become one big entity. Today, we have access to all the physical assets of Flipkart Logistics across the country. Tier 2, tier 3 was not our strong area before COVID, but when the demand came, if it wasn't for Flipkart assets, we could have not been in a position to serve the tier 2, tier 3 demand like we did. And that's one of the very, very critical reasons why we are very strong in tier 2, tier 3 today.
Okay, so you are getting the support, and this new trend of startups and e-commerce companies talking about IPOs, Myntra making a beeline for it?
It's not, I would say it's not the goalpost we are chasing right now. We are focused on making our platform the best shopping platform for our consumers. We see IPO as an outcome, and when time is right, it will happen for us.
So, when you enter home decor, you enter footwear, self-grooming, it's not an area of concern at all that it could get completely muddled up with a brand like Flipkart, because they also sell all of this?
Right. The categories might be same between the two platforms, but between the two platforms, the kind of consumer segments we serve, there's a clear distinction between what Flipkart serves and what Myntra serves. We actually serve more of a mass premium kind of user, while they actually serve mass and economy kind of user. So that's a clear distinction in the price ranges and the kind of selection we also put together.
You told us about how your business is bouncing back so strongly across categories. Luxury and premium still seeing, yet to see that kind of an offtake. What's also very interesting is that Myntra has decided to go in with a big marketing and advertising spend. You're, being seen as a big sponsor during the IPL as well. Are you finishing off your entire year's advertising and marketing budget with the IPL?
No, it's not actually. So at the beginning of the year, this was pre-COVID. We had planned to invest into our brand marketing. Our brand always was already a strong brand when it comes to fashion online. We wanted to extend that to more geographies. If you look at our brand campaigns today, it's no longer one national campaign. We also have regional campaigns happening, and it's reflected in the kind of celebrities we have onboarded, from Kiara Advani, Disha Patani, all the way to Samantha in the south. So that was already part of the story. The reason why we got associated with IPL was we saw IPL as the first major positive thing happening in the country, and we could not resist ourselves from participating in an event like this, because there cannot be a better timing and there cannot be a better event than this to bring that positivity back. And we are happy to be associated with three major teams of IPL. It's not just RCB, Mumbai Indians, and Chennai Super Kings, arguably the three biggest teams in the league. And through these three teams, we will be reaching out to the entire country. Their fans spread across the country beyond the regional boundaries, and that's what we're more excited about. And on top of it, we're also investing into our Myntra Fashion Superstar Season 2. Season 1 was a runaway hit for us. Season 2 is going to be much bigger, on a much grander scale, which is also coming out during the festive season. On top of it, we also invested into our influencer network. This is something we started last year. This year, we have close to 2,000 influencers, top influencers across the country, with over 50-60 million followers between them. And we are putting out content which is more relevant for tier 2, tier 3 population. If you look at the kind of content we are putting, tier 2, tier 3 usually has been like they dress the same way in the tier 2, tier 3. Now we're putting more content to educate our users to actually stand out in tier 2, 3. So there are a lot of investments being made to make our presence felt across all the geographies in the country.
Okay, Amar, with that, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out and for joining us here on the Times Network for the
Pleasure.
India Revival Mission. Here's wishing you and the entire team at Myntra all the very best.
Thank you. My pleasure.